Hello there, all you amazing people. We are going to talk a little bit about a taboo subject in the Linux world and in the world where I'm hitting the microphone. But before we do that, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, do all the thingy dooskies and stuff like that. Go recommend videos in my video suggestion section on Discord if you want to make a video. And I may or may not make it, depends on how long the video. If it's like a 1 hour video, I will probably not make a reaction video to it or stuff like that. But it's a good place where you can influence the content of this channel. But I just made a video. Someone posted it, I think, in that Discord section or somewhere in Discord about a guy making LePlayOffice looking like Microsoft Office, because apparently that's what gets people to use LePlayOffice, if it looks more like Microsoft Office. Nope. And in that video, I cut that section out because I want to make this video. I was looking into the financial part of LePlayOffice. And LePlayOffice is a project under the Document Foundation or something like that. So that nature, the Document Foundation is supporting them. I can't 100% remember the correct thingy or term for it, but you can probably tell me that down below. This is for 2022 though. You kind of get the idea of the premise of the video that I'm going to make. So I'm going to say a lot of not controversial, but things you guys don't like, because this is something that the Linux community seems to forget a lot. We are used to, in Linux, to basically not pay for anything. That's the thing. We don't like paying for shit. Contrary to what you believe, that every time someone wants someone in the community to pay, a lot of people get angry. Why do I have to pay just $1 or something like that to do a thing? I don't know why they get so angry over that. Because grown-ups or normal people understand how the world works, I hope. And again, I will go and show that in this video here later on, in this document here later on. And this is publicly available. The Linux world have this weird belief, the thought, and this is not the thought from the Free Software Foundation or Linus or anything, this is just how it actually happens to be, because both Richard Stallman, Linus Torvalds have no problem with people asking for money for a software or something like that. All they want, or at least the Free Software Foundation, all they want is for the code to be available for modification, looking at, and stuff like that. They have no issue with LePlayOffice asking for money for LePlayOffice. It just happened to be like that most software in Linux costs no money. And the short and the long of that is, like, if you think about it this way, I make an Office suite. Let's pretend I make LePlayOffice. And I want, let's just say $5 for it, but the source code is out there. Then all of the people that don't want to pay for it will then just take the program and recompile it and give it away for free. The fact that the source code is out there makes it really, really hard to get money from a software. So that's why a lot of open source projects where the source code is out there, they don't pay. You don't pay for the software, you pay for the services, you pay for support, you pay for stuff like that. That's really hard to do with like a desktop environment, a video player, an Office suite, you know, like a notepad application. It's really hard to sell that as a service. So what a lot of these projects over here, like these here, are relying on are donations. Out of people's goodwill, that's how they're staying alive. Or they are relying on that people that are willing to work for free are going to spend development time or their own time fixing, helping out projects. So let's unpack this a little bit. Either it's done voluntarily if you want to with money, or you can help out if you really, really want to and voluntarily. And that's the two issues here. Because most people are not going to pay for something they can get for free. I'm not going to do that. You are not going to do that. That's what the world have shown. That if people get something for free, they don't want to pay. You may want to donate. I've donated to open source projects over the years, but I had definitely not donated as much money as I have used of open source software. What I mean by that is the amount of money that I've donated to open source, the amount of money that most users have donated to open source software, even people donating today, is almost pennies compared to what it actually cost to make the software. Most home users, most hobbyists and stuff like that have not really helped out with the code and stuff like that either. That shows. And what I mean by that is that if you look at Linux and open source, one of the primary features that are being implemented into Linux and open source and FOSS programs, it's mostly corporate features, enterprise features, optimization for SQL, optimization for server-side, the backends and stuff like that. And we all bitching and moaning, like, I keep making this fun joke, or not fun joke, but it's a little bit of a joke, like, we haven't had properly ray tracing HDR, or at least HDR in Linux for many years. It's kind of there now, but we really haven't had it. Well, Windows and Mac OS had it for, I think it's like 12 years now, or 15 years now. And Linux users get angry about it. Why are you criticizing the proprietary with this and that? No. The reason why we don't have stuff like that, like ray tracing is coming also, being better at it, but the reason why we don't have a lot of nice desktop features or consumer features that other operating systems or other softwares have had is because if you're working out of the principle that people do or work on what they want or help out with what they want, and they pay if when they need or feel like it, they are only going to pay for things that they need. They are also only going to work on things that they need. Who is the people that are donating the most to most open source or FOSS projects? Corporations. Who are the people that are going to donate development time most of the time for open source FOSS projects? Organizations. So that means the people that are making sure financially that you and I can get LePlayOffice, the people that are helping out with bug fixing and stuff that help us get less bugs and a working office speed, are primarily people working for organizations. What features do you think they're going to fix the most? Organization features. What features do you think they're going to, or if you, let me put it another way, if you are a project manager and you see Intel, you know, BlackRock, or what the fuck they call these big financial institutions, stuff like that, are financing you with like millions or hundreds of dollars a year, who are you going to satisfy? You that donate $10 a year, or a company that are donating $1,000 a year? You're trying to make that pig happy. You're trying to make that whale happy. You're trying to make sure that those $1,000 comes in next year. And you don't do that by giving HDR. You don't do that by giving non-corporate features. And that's the trap that Linux and FOSS are in, is that because it's on a volunteer basis, because it's like a you pay if you want to kind of thing by donation, they kind of have to suck, you know, the dong of the people that are giving them the money so they can stay alive. Because if they're catering to you and me, why would the big organization support that if it's not beneficial for them? Because it's all about who is this beneficial for. The companies are supporting open source and Linux and all those things because it's benefiting them. They are putting money into Linux and open source because it's benefiting them. They are giving developer support and giving development time to Linux and open source projects because it's benefiting them. So therefore, they are doing stuff that benefits them. They are expecting to get things out of it that benefits them. And you may think, why are you making such a big deal out of this? Why do you want Linux users to start paying? Because of this. This is how expensive it is to run LePlayOffice, or the document foundation, or what you will call it. Just legal advice alone in 2022 was almost 50,000 euros. Developer conferences over that. Think about this. They have like a total project cost here of almost 200,000 euros. So employee salary and freelancers are actually the biggest one. You can break it down here. Business entity profit, 30,000, so they must have been making 32,000 euros in a profit, I guess. Running cost, fees and contributions, 30,000 euros. Fees for banking and money transfer, almost 70,000 or 62,000 euros. Accounting, taxes, legal advice again here. So that must be legal advice according to accounting and taxing. Almost 32,000. Imagine how much more they could do. How much more employees they could employ. If they got 3 million euros. Imagine how better LePlayOffice would be if they got more money. It would be significantly better. They will, like, this is not a one-to-one comparison. Let's just imagine they got double the amount. They could probably develop 50% faster because they can employ more people. They can do more R&D. They can spend more money on advertisement. That means more people are going to use LePlayOffice. A lot of Linux users are really, twisting their ballsack over the, big corporations, we hate them and blah, 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 blah. And we don't want to be under the control of big corporation. We have to penny up then. Because Linux, if you go look at who is supporting Linux, it's massive, big, multi-million, billion dollar corporations. Those are the vast majority of code contributors and financial contributors. It's like that with most, not all. You can probably find an open source project out, specifically small ones, that is 100% written free of any corporate influence. Like a program like VLC, for example, could probably be one of those. Like your little node editor that you like to use could probably be one of those. But if it's a program that companies rely on, if it's a program the corporate world rely on, and it's cheaper for them to sponsor, money here and there and development time here and there, they will do that. Because let's face it, they are the one that have the money to do it. They are the one that have the developers to do it. Linux home users are basically leeching off massive corporations. I think we all need to open our eyes up that we love to sit here on Linux and yell at Microsoft and Google and all of Apple and all of these corporations for being bad and blah, blah, blah. But we are willing to take that development time. We are willing to use their money, so we can get our things for free. Here's the thing that if you have to have used Linux for over 20 years to understand this, sadly enough. I used Linux before corporate world took over Linux and open source projects. So I used Linux where most Linux projects and most open source projects, at least for the home user, were maintained and supported financially and development-wise by hobbyists, you and me. The development time or development output was so slow that it would take years sometimes before we got a minute little feature added. Years, I tell you. When it comes to hardware, it was even worse. We are bitching and moaning about driver support not being open source. Back in the day, when a new graphic card came out, it may be supported somewhat in Linux between 6 months to a year. You had kind of support for it, meaning you could probably run it, but it was iffy-diffy. If you wanted 80% of the features and performances as on the Windows, we were talking 2, 3, 4 years before we got that. Why? Because we were relying on some random developer somewhere in the world that knew how to do that, had time to do it. Or we were relying on someone having a lot of money, needing someone to do that for them and paying for it. That could be tomorrow or in 5 years' time. And again, it's so hard to understand for a lot of people right now that come into Linux now, or have been in Linux for 5 or 6 years, because they have not experienced that. The second Linux exploded, so to speak, when Canonical made Ubuntu and it kind of became super popular, development time went so up the roof. Support for everything went up the roof. Why? Because Canonical and companies like SUSE and Red Hat got other businesses more into Linux, especially on the desktop. Canonical was really a good component for the desktop Linux. If you want to know who done most for the Linux desktop, Canonical. Who done the most for the Linux corporate side, SUSE and Red Hat. But when Canonical come in And like in 2010 and up, everything just got bigger, faster. We got more features faster. We got more money into Linux and stuff like that. Because the corporate world got invested into it. And you may sit here and say, oh, well, that's not our problem. We're just benefiting from that. Then pay for our shit. And yeah, you're right. But you have to remember this. You being so antagonistic towards the corporate world as most Linux users are, you are expecting a free meal while you're criticizing the cook on how they prepared the meal for you, or what is on the menu, or the warmth of it, or where you're getting it delivered, etc, etc, etc. At one point, the chef is going to be like, you know what? I'm not giving you more free fucking food, you idiot. You're bitching and moaning about me spending thousands of dollars to feed your ass. Go get some food somewhere else. I'm going to make sure that only the people that are willing to pay for my shit are getting my food. And we start to see that a little bit in Linux. With like, what is the most developed effort going into Linux? It's corporate support. Projects know this. Companies know this. We are sitting here, and I see this argument, and I keep hitting my mic, I see this argument a lot with Valve. That, yeah, they're mostly focusing on the Steam Deck and blah, 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 but hey, it's benefiting Linux desktop with gaming. And yes, you are right. But it will take Valve one button push to make sure that Proton only works on the Steam Deck and on their Linux OS. One button push. They have to put one fucking thing in there to limit it to that hardware and that OS. It's not difficult. Could you reverse engineer it? Probably. But that also means that you have to stay behind a lot and you have to reverse engineer a lot of technologies that they are making. But it's not hard for them to do. The fact that Proton is working on Linux natively is because Valve is being good. Valve is being nice to you. And Valve is not a nice company. The only reason why Valve allow you to use Proton under whatever they do, on whatever Linux distribution they want, is because they don't want to bother with making, you know, they don't want to put in the effort base. They don't care. Because they know that, hey, if you use Valve Proton on Linux, they can sell you games. So it's just benefiting them right now. Linux is by far not, like, if Linux gaming went away tomorrow, Valve would not even fucking care. Like, it would not even show, it would probably not even show up on their fucking financial report, okay? They don't fucking care. But it's nice that they can make money off you. So that's why they're not doing it. But Valve is putting money into Proton and the Steam OS and stuff like that because it's benefiting the Steam Deck. That is then benefiting them financially and hardware-wise. Not because you like it. They're not doing it because of you. They're not doing it because you value it. No, they're doing it because it makes financial sense for Valve to do it. That is why you see this... I have so many mices here. That's why you see this thing here. Most of this, I can't put a percentage on it, but I will suspect, my biased suspicion here, is that of all the money that the Document Foundation gets, probably 80 to 90% of it is from companies. Either they have a straw man giving them money, you know, the free Document Foundation money. So a lot of companies will do this. They will have like an employee, and they will use that employee to be the name of the donation. Or if they are, they will hire an independent kind of ish developer to work on open source projects for them. So they are paying that developer to work for open source projects, but the developer or developers are using their own legal names. That's why you sometimes see some names that contribute massive amount of code or massive amount of money. And that's because they're doing that coding or that money on behalf of a company. And that man or girl name you see could also represent a team. That's how they do it some places. There's probably some financial reasons to do it, I don't know, but they do it like that. It's people that are employed by massive corporations. Intel used to do that. They have a guy that used to be sponsoring a lot of code and revision to the kernel and donating a lot. But he was employed by Intel. He was doing it on behalf of Intel, basically. What I'm coming at here is, first of all, stop fucking off the handed feature. Stop Stop cutting off the hand that jerks you off, okay? That is the stupidest thing you can ever do. And if you really want to fuck off the hands that feeds you, you have to get your wallet out of your fucking pockets. Or, well, not pockets anymore. You have to get your PayPal directed towards an open source project. And $10 a year is not enough. Imagine how many of LePlayOffice user base had to spend on LePlayOffice for them to get this amount of money. How many copies of LePlayOffice should they sell? And you have to think about that. The price of LePlayOffice, you have to cut between 30 to 50% off that cost because taxes and blah, blah, blah. And also depending on where they're selling it in the world, it could be even higher with taxes. So let's say you say, oh, $20 to do it. Yeah, well, LePlayOffice or the Document Foundation would probably only get $9 or $10 out of that. So imagine how many copies they had to sell to get this amount of money if it was all done by consumers. Or put it another way, because LePlayOffice is not that widely used. It's a really, really specific, unique, small little program. Imagine how expensive LePlayOffice needs to be for the Document Foundation to get this amount of money. Just by selling LePlayOffice to you. It probably are going to be an expensive piece of software. You're basically running €1 million software when you're running LePlayOffice yearly. If LePlayOffice was not a FOSS software, let's be honest, if you want LePlayOffice to be the same, have the same capability, same quality as Microsoft Office, we are probably talking multi-million euro a year dollar project. Multi-million, probably in the tens. Microsoft Office probably costs like 100,000 euros, if not more, a year to maintain, support, and stuff like that. That is why a lot of software is expensive. That's also why there is a lot of times this massive, again, unpopular opinion, or unpopular proof actually. In a lot of instances, FOSS software is inferior to paid software. Because it's not because it's bad. It's not because FOSS developers can't make good software. It's they don't have the developers for it, and or they don't have the money to do it. They can't hire high-profile developers. They can't hire rockstar developers. Because rockstar and high-end developers, they are going places where they get a fucking good amount of money. Because they spent years building up their reputation as being a superstar developer so they can live a super comfortable life. So they are going to places that are going to pay them a lot of money. Google, Microsoft, Intel, Huawei, name your fucking company. They're not going to sit and code for LePlayOffice for a fifth of what they would get somewhere else. The reason why we don't get a lot of the fancy shit as fast is money on Linux. I'm not saying that, again, FOSS developers are not good developers, and there are superstar FOSS developers, but there's not a lot of them. That's the issue here. I think we can all agree that Linus Torvalds is a rockstar FOSS developer. But there's not many Linus Torvalds. And you also have to remember, Linus Torvalds is being paid a shit ton of money by the Linux Foundation that is sponsored by corporate America and corporate entities around the world, not you and me. Most of the money the Linux Foundation get is from companies like Microsoft, Oracle, Intel, AMD, and etc., etc., etc. He's basically employed indirectly by massive corporate multi-billion dollar corporations. If you want and again, this ties down to that video I made last week. If you want LePlayOffice to compete with Microsoft Office almost one-to-one, we need to hire better developers, or more, maybe not better developers, more developers. So they have more time to do it. Or more users like you and me has to start helping them out development-wise, or pay them a shit ton of money. And we all know that if you take 100 people and put them in a line, 100 average fucking Linux users, 50% of them probably don't know how to even print hello world in any programming language. So now we have 50 developers left. Or 50 users, sorry. Half of those don't even fucking want to bother developing for free. So now we're down to 25. Maybe 5 of those actually have the time and they want to help out with developing for free or for super low amount of money for LePlayOffice. So you get what you pay for, basically. You want a company to get open source, pay for lobbyists to go in and lobby in that company for open source. You have to pay someone to do that. We don't want to. We are cheap-ass motherfuckers, okay? You want something done in FOSS software, and this is one of the things that I hate the most about the Linux community, is that they love to bitch and moan about software. Not good enough, not that, why can't we get this, and blah, blah, blah. But the second they try and go out and do that, and by the project doing that, I mean either getting financial support from businesses or hiring or asking businesses to help, you bitch and moan about that also. But on the other hand, you're donating $5 a year and feeling good about it. It's meaningless. And you're not going to develop for them because you don't have the skill to do it, basically. Most of us don't have the skill to develop for LePlayOffice or any other fucking massive FOSS software suite. And you're not going to do it anyway. There is a lot of misunderstanding of just because Linux don't cost you money, just because a lot of free software don't cost you money, like FOSS software don't cost you money, don't mean it don't require money to run. What's free for you is paid by for someone else. And if you on top of that are swinging your dick in those faces, you are shitting in their fucking soup, you are fucking their wife, you are stealing their dog, at some point, they are not going to listen to you. They are not going to take you seriously. They are not going to want to help you out. A lot of people say, oh, well, NVIDIA open sourced their drivers, and that's because of Linux desktop or Linux gaming. No. Linux servers. NVIDIA is an AI machine learning company. That's where they make all their money. Who is using NVIDIA cards that cost thousands of dollars more than your fucking gaming card in servers? That's where they're being used. Backends. Corporations. 99% of the reason why a company open source a project or a driver and stuff like that is not because of the home user. It's because of businesses. They are working with other businesses that are using Linux in the backend. And they are like, oh, we can save a lot of money by open sourcing because then we can use open source projects so we don't have to develop our own tools. That's why they're doing it. 99% of the reason why you get open source or companies diverge into open source is not because you can sit and play fucking your girlfriend simulator in your basement. It's because, oh, if you're open sourcing our driver, that means that the Linux kernel can be more optimized for it. That means it will run better on the servers that are running our cards. And we don't have to do much work for it. Other than sanitizing our code, so there's no proprietary bits and bobs that goes against the GPL or whatever license they tend to use. Which also costs money, by the way. Going from closed to open source costs a lot of money to do that sanitation. Is it benefiting you and me? Yes. A lot. It's benefiting us on the desktop. But they could so easily say, you know what? Those open source drivers only work if you're running it as a server, or you're running on other server hardware. So they can tie in the driver to, let's say, a server motherboard, or a specific Linux distribution. Yes, you can reverse engineer it, but it will take time. Then we have to find someone that wants to do it, or you have to pay someone to reverse engineer it. So you will always be behind. Because NVIDIA can put more money into making sure you can run their open source drivers on Ubuntu or Arch than you can. So they will always win. What I'm trying to come at here is stop killing the hand that feeds you. Be more fucking appreciative, okay? You don't want Linux. You don't want FOSS without corporate influence. When I mean influence, I mean developers and money. You don't want that. You might as well run Linux like it was in the 90s, with the same development effort. The reason why FOSS and Linux is where it is today is because of massive corporations spending massive amount of money and development time on it. Not because Joe in his basement is like unemployed, no girlfriend, is coding, you know, a word editor that can only do like primitive spell checking. If you're a Linux user, you are even more reliant on the goodwill and graces of massive corporate America than if you were running Windows or Mac OS. Because at least there you're buying a product. And you have some consumer rights because you're buying a product. So if they fuck you over, what is happening right now, you can sue them. You can't really sue a FOSS project. It's super difficult. Because they're providing it as is. They are like, just don't use it. You don't pay for it. You are so reliant on Microsoft's and Apple's and Intel's companies alike. So you can run your precious little anti-America or anti-corporate America operating system. While basically sucking that on their titties. And I know a lot of people be smart, but why should I care that they are sponsoring? I'm just using them for their money. No, you're not. They don't give... Here's the thing. Apple don't give a fuck about Linux Desktop. Microsoft don't give a fuck about Linux Desktop. No company... Nvidia don't give a fuck about Linux Desktop. They care about Linux Server. That's what they care about. They give a fuck about that. But you're not running Linux Server at home. So if GNOME got deleted, they don't give a fuck. If Arch got deleted, they don't give a fuck. If Red Hat Canonical or SUSE got deleted, they may give a fuck. But anything else other than Ubuntu, and I talk Ubuntu Server, SUSE Linux, and Red Hat Linux, those are the 3 Linux distributions that corporate America give a fuck about. But they don't give a fuck about it on optimizing your gaming performances. They don't give a fuck about giving you a proper video player. They give a fuck about it, like, if this makes this about our company money or saving us a lot of money, we're going to use it on the server side. You have to get that into your thick skulls. You are not free from any corporate America or corporate entities in the world by running FOSS software. Because they are the reasons why you have that software. Or a big reason why you have that software. And the proof is here. I would love to see if the LePlayOffice community could gather together 1.2 million euros in a year. All funded by its users and not by company money. I would love to see if that could happen. If LePlayOffice of the Document Foundation could gather together actually they need more than 1.2. They need let's say 1.3 million euros. If they could gather that together, or just 1.2, I don't give a fuck. Cut down on some costs. Then, if they can gather that from their home users in a year from donations. And again, nobody can donate on behalf of a money or an organization or anything like that. It has to be from people like you and me. I would love to see if that could happen. It has been tried before and it has failed every fucking time. Unless we have some fucking retired footballer or something like that has like millions and billions of dollars that want to sponsor it because they like Linux while watching, I don't know, the Giants play the Eagles or something like that. I don't know. That's the only reason why I can see it happening is someone that has a shit ton of independent wealth is donating everything. And that can happen. But if it was into all the individuals or people using LePlayOffice, not only do I don't think there's enough users to do it, but the users that are there have to spend a lot of money to get it there. I would not be surprised if every LePlayOffice users have to spend at least $100, $200 dollars or euros to get to the 1.2 million euros mark at the end of the year, like in a year's time. And you're not going to do that. LePlayOffice is not worth $100 or $200 or 100 euros or 200 euros. It's not. Not for a consumer. But that's actually what you should pay for to use it if you want to pay for it. Probably what you have to pay for it if it was a paid software. And you have no idea how much you're sucking on everyone's titties right now for you to use it. And this copium that, oh, I'm just using them and stealing their money or whatever the fuck it is. No, you are leech. That's all it is. We are leeching on others' goodwill. And we are fighting them and yelling at them and degrading them while leeching on them. It's one of the reasons why you rarely hear me talk negative about big corporations sponsoring open source projects and stuff like that. I used to in the past, but I rarely do it now. Because I know that without them, I will not get the Linux I want today. I know I have to bend over and let big corporations get their way with me for me to get the Linux that I have today, because I'm not going to pay for Linux. It's not a good enough product for me to pay for it. And put it another way, I would pay for a Linux distribution, but a lot of FOSS software I would not pay for. I would not pay for LePlayOffice. I would pay for VLC. I would pay for OBS. I would definitely not pay for KDE Live. I may even want to pay for GNOME or KDE or XFCE if the price was right. For all of the FOSS software we have in the world, if they were relying on you and me paying for the software and the right money, not what they wish, but what it was worth, and maybe put 10% on top of it, they will go under financially. Because most FOSS software is not worth a lot of money. Meaning that the features and capabilities they bring to the world, nobody gives a fuck about the openness of the software. It's what value, like what features, what can I do, what does it bring to the table? That's what people care about. And that's what sets the price. And for a lot of FOSS software, we are talking $5 to $10 software. And that will not sustain them. Even desktop environments could arguably be like $20, $30 desktop environments. I would not pay more than $30 for XFCE. I may pay $50 for GNOME or KDE. Maybe $50 for Cinnamon, at most. That's how much money I think like they are worth. For a one-time purchase, by the way. That's not a lot. Anyway, I'm out of here. See you all later. Bye-bye.